When most people think about greenhouse gas emissions, they picture tailpipes or smokestacks. Gassy cows usually don't make the short list. However, cow burps and farts, which I guess are a different type of exhaust, play a much bigger role in climate change than most people realize. But California dairy farms have made one of the largest agricultural emissions reductions anywhere in the world. Welcome to the Goodish News channel. I'm Ashley, your professional pessimist, and if I'm impressed by this news, maybe you will be too. California dairy farms have cut methane emissions equivalent to about 5 million tons of carbon dioxide each year. In an industry that's often criticized for the role it plays in climate impact, that's pretty great news. So how exactly did they do it? Because last I checked, Gas X isn't supposed to be given to cows. In 2016, California passed a bill aiming to lower methane from major contributors like landfills, food waste, and as it turns out, cows. The goal is to reduce methane emissions connected to dairy farms by 40% by 2030. And now, 10 years later, dairy farms in the state are more than 2/3 of the way toward that goal. But why are people hating on methane so much? While carbon dioxide gets most of the attention, methane packs a much stronger short-term punch. Over a 20-year period after it's released into the atmosphere, methane traps more than 80 times as much heat as carbon dioxide. While it breaks down much faster than CO2, the warming impact it has while it's bumping around in the atmosphere is pretty intense. Because of that, methane is responsible for roughly a third of the warming the planet has experienced so far. And what's the #1 contributor to methane? Livestock. And cows are the single largest contributor to it. Let's go on a little field trip. There are two ways that methane is produced in cows: in their digestion and in their manure. During digestion, microbes produce methane, which is then released through burping and flatulence. Fart on camera. If it's not going out the attic, it's going out the basement, if you get my drift. Along with those two very pleasant things, methane is produced by manure as it breaks down. Now consider that there are around 86 million head of cattle in the United States, and the climate impact adds up pretty quickly. So how did California dairy farms manage to cut methane at such a large scale? A big part of the answer is methane digesters. These systems capture methane from manure before it escapes into the atmosphere. And the beautiful thing about it is, instead of adding to a climate problem, that captured gas is collected and used as energy. In many cases, it's converted into renewable natural gas that can power vehicles or generate electricity. The digesters already operating in California prevent more than 2.5 million tons of CO2 equivalent methane emissions each year. On individual farms, well-managed digesters can reduce methane emissions by as much as 80%. That's an enormous reduction from a single piece of infrastructure. Unfortunately, these digesters are expensive and not accessible to everyone. But there are some state incentives and funding that make the equipment more accessible to farmers. But digesters aren't the only option to reduce emissions. Beyond digesters, farms have changed how they manage manure in the first place. Adjustments like moving manure more frequently, improving ventilation, or separating solids from liquids reduce the conditions where methane forms. These changes may sound basic, but they make a big difference. Another important factor is efficiency. Producing the same amount of milk with fewer cows reduces emissions across the board. Healthier cows, better nutrition, and selective breeding mean each cow produces more milk over her lifetime which lowers methane emissions per gallon of milk. In other words, the climate footprint of dairy isn't just about how many cows there are, but how efficiently the system operates. My favorite option might also be the weirdest one, which is an area of research that focuses on feed additives. Researchers are discovering that things like red seaweed can reduce gas production in our bovine friends. When a small amount is added into the cow's diet, it interferes with the methane-making chemistry in the stomach. I know a few people who should try that too. In some trials, the seaweed cut methane from the cow's burps by more than half. There are other crop byproducts in commercial feed mixes designed to reduce methane as well. Those don't cut emissions as much as the seaweed, but they can still trim methane by a noticeable amount, and sometimes even improve how efficiently cows turn feed into milk. So if I haven't made it obvious enough, all of this matters because methane reductions are one of the fastest ways to slow near-term warming. Cutting carbon dioxide is essential for long-term climate stability, but reducing methane now can deliver big climate benefits within years instead of decades. Agriculture, especially dairy, is one of the few sectors where large methane cuts are already technologically achievable. Dairy farms are not the largest source of greenhouse gases overall, but they are one of the clearest examples of how targeted solutions can deliver huge results. And let's face it, the cows are probably happier with less gas in their bellies too. If you're looking for more good news in your life, be sure to check out this video right here. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and consider subscribing so we can ignore all the bad news together.